So is paid advertising worth it in 2024? Now, I'm going to give you, and I'll just be totally honest, I'm going to give you a really boring, unsexy answer. And I'm not going to wait until the end of the video to give you the answer to try and hook you all the way until the end. I'm just going to tell you. The answer, which is unsexy but true, is that it depends. And I know that's not a good answer to have, but as with everything in business, context matters. And the advice to one person is going to be completely different to the next, depending on where they are. Now, I know your favorite gurus like to tell you like there's one definitive answer or there's one definitive way to do something because that's what the course teaches you how to do. But sadly, it's not the case. Context matters pretty much at every level and in every area of business. And that's why a lot of the time, that is the downfall of the online education industry, which I love, by the way. But that's the biggest downfall of the industry is that, people can't give every person going through the program the context that they need to truly get the advice that's going to really, really help them. So what I'm going to do in this video is just outline the things that you would need depending on where you're at in your business. Because here's the thing. It really depends on whether you should be advertising or not. It depends on these three things, right? And there's three elements that you would need for Facebook advertising or YouTube advertising or whatever it is to be profitable for you. So number one is the skill itself. Now, the skill of advertising by itself isn't actually good enough anymore, but you do need to either be a skilled media buyer or you need to hire like a skilled advertiser. So, for example, a few years ago, like when I started in 2016 writing Facebook ads, the copy that we were using in the ads was so bad. Like it wouldn't even be allowed on Facebook right now with the policy and stuff, but it was literally just 2 lines or 3 lines of copy. And it was super clickbaity. And it was just like, hey, these people were doing this, click here to learn how, right? And because it was like new at the time, Facebook advertising was new, seeing ads in the newsfeed was new, people were just clicking. We were getting like targeting like a US audience. This was even before we had pixels and stuff, so we couldn't even properly track the leads. But like a good campaign for us back in the day was getting like a cost per click in the US of less than 10 cents. Like that was like, oh my gosh, like now you can scale this. Now you're getting like $2 cost per click in the US. So the landscape's dramatically changed, and so has the skill required. Now, when I say a skill of media buying, I don't just mean, hey, you need to know where to click in the ads manager. Like, you don't just need to be a good button pusher, right? Because again, just knowing how to create ads in the ads manager is no longer enough. You need to get really, really skilled at writing ads. You need to understand market sophistication. You need to understand your audience on a deep level. And you need to understand humor and buyer psychology. If you don't know all of those things and you aren't extremely talented at all of those things, then paid advertising isn't worth it for you because you're going to lose your money. That's the biggest problem, is that people will just go and they'll just start chucking all of their savings or their hard-earned money into advertising without actually really understanding how to write a great ad. Because again, back in 2016, didn't need to be a good copywriter, didn't need to understand human psychology. You just needed to understand how to set up an ad in the ads manager and target the right people. And whatever ad you put out in front of them, it would work and it would convert. It doesn't happen anymore. So you need to get skilled at copywriting, and you need to understand how to present yourself and your business in a way that separates you from everybody else. Because every business owner and their gran is posting on, they're running Facebook ads right now, right? There's no barrier to entry. You can start with $5 a day. So huge competition, which means that you need to understand how you're going to separate yourself from everyone else. And again, the market consistently changes. So for example, when Hormozi dropped his $100 million offers book, right? What did people start doing? Oh, I'm going to be different to everyone else and I'm going to start putting these fucking, $100 million offers in the newsfeed. If you're a coach and you want 90 appointments in 90 days, blah, 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 right? You would have seen them, right? Everyone starts doing that. And in the beginning, when he first released the book, because it was kind of new, it worked. And that separated everyone else from the competition. Everyone's offer was the separation and the differentiator. So they would put that copy in their ad. Now, friggin' every person who is running a Facebook ad or everyone in like the online education space or the make money online space has read his book. And therefore all the ads sound the same. And therefore those ads don't work anymore. So you need to get really skilled at that. Now, it's different for different industries. So for example, if I'm running an e-commerce brand or I'm running ads for an e-commerce brand, and I'll just be transparent, I don't run ads for e-commerce brands anymore, did a few years ago, but definitely not my area of expertise. Your skill doesn't really come in the copywriting and the text, but it's going to really come into the creative and, UGC, video creation, video edits, video hooks, more like TikTok short form style. You need to get really good at understanding, how can you separate yourself how can you separate yourself from the competition using that type of content. So again, the skills matter. You need to be skilled. But again, depending on the industry and what market you advertise in, the skill actually changes on what you actually need to master. For the info product space, UGC content isn't that much big of a deal. Like still right now, some of our videos aren't very well edited. They're just kind of like casual selfie style videos for some of our clients, and they still work well. So again, industries differ, and so does the skills required. So that's the first thing. You need to have that. Number one, you need the skill, and then it could potentially be worth it. But you also need the second thing. And the second thing is what I call business infrastructure. So again, I'm going to constantly reminisce about the time when I started in 2016 because it was so easy to advertise on Facebook. And I'm still pissed off at myself to this day that I didn't make millions back in 2016 because I was a dumb, naive kid who didn't really know what he was doing. But even if I had the slightest bit of education or skill, I could have made millions, but I didn't. So I'm a little bit salty about it. But I like to compare it because, I've been doing this for it's nearly like 8 years now. So I have a good perspective of what it was like before to how the market has changed now. The biggest thing that you need is business infrastructure. What does that mean? So business infrastructure is, again, back in 2016, you could make a lot of money selling like a $47 course on Facebook, a $97 course on Facebook. We were running webinars back in the day, and instead of selling like a 1K or a 2K product like most people do, we sold a $99 product and people were making money on the front end, not even on the back end, right? So it was super, super cheap. So you didn't need to have a business infrastructure. You didn't need to have a business. You just needed to have one product, one price point, and you could sell it. Same with drop shipping, right? Back in 2016, 2017, one product store, just scale the shit out of a fucking fidget spinner and you would make millions, right? But it's changed now. You need to have the business infrastructure, which means you need to have a business that is focused on lifetime value, not on who can generate the cheapest sale with ads, right? Again, 2016, drop shippers, it was just like, I've got this product, let me try and create ads that get me the cheapest possible customer. Obviously, we still want the cheapest possible customer, but just focusing on that alone isn't enough. You need the back-end infrastructure. So for example, if you're an e-commerce brand, getting very, very difficult right now to become profitable on that first sale. So you need to ensure you have the business infrastructure, the systems, the emails, the products, the whole thing to make sure that as soon as someone buys from you, they're going to buy from you again and buy from you again and buy from you again. If you don't have that business infrastructure in place that converts people into repeat buyers, it's going to be very, very difficult for you. It's the same with the info product space as well. Obviously, there's a huge focus right now, or there has been anyway for a few years, is on sales teams. So whenever you get a lead, whenever you get like a low ticket customer, it's about putting a system in place where how can you quickly convert that lead or low ticket customer into a high ticket customer? Because that's going to get the profitability back. generating leads for front-end offers or generating sales for like $47 workshops, you're not going to make millions of dollars doing that anymore. So you need to have the back-end systems in place, whether that be like a sales team or an email upsell flow, whatever it is, you need to have that in place. If you don't have a focus on LTV and you don't have different products and you don't have basically an upsell sequence or process, then you don't want to run ads because you ain't going to make any money, especially if you're like starting out. And it depends on market and industry again, but I'm going to say as a general rule, even though I'm going to go against the rule, what I said at the beginning of this video, if you don't have a focus on LTV, then it's going to be very, very difficult for anyone to make money, right? So, and what I wanted to talk about actually as well was that Russell Brunson, which I'm sure you guys will know, he did a podcast at one point in the last few months, and he's talking about, like, in the beginning, it was like, okay, let's run ads to a low ticket product and make money, right? That was the first phase. The second phase was, okay, ads are getting more expensive. Let's run ads to a low ticket product and let's break even on that product. And then we can upsell our customers, and those customers, obviously, we get effectively for free. Because if you sell a $97 product on the front end, you run ads to it, you get a customer for $97, then you get that customer for free, and then you can upsell them into the high ticket program. So that was basically phase 2, which was a break-even funnel. Russell Brunson now is talking about break-even businesses because ads are getting more and more expensive. So you have to build a break-even business where that first business, even if it was low ticket and high ticket, all you're looking to do there is break even on the entire thing. And then you've got those customers, and then you can upsell them or cross-sell them onto a different business. Obviously, for him, it's a little bit different because he has software, right? So he's building these coaching programs. And in the beginning, a few years ago, he was making a load of money from the coaching programs. Now he's looking at it and he's like, well, if I can just break even on the coaching programs, that's fine because I'll sell them ClickFunnels, right? So that's kind of like the next phase where people are going to be building break-even offers and break-even businesses just to get the customers and the volume. Again, SaaS works a little bit different because they can sell based on consumers and users. So context matters, shock, but that's kind of like where the space is going. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is sophistication and saturation levels. Now, I'm going to look at my screen because I've forgotten the exact notes, which I was going to talk about. All right, I got it now. All I just needed, that was one quick look. So the market that you're operating in is going to have different levels of saturation and competition and sophistication compared to another market. So based on where your market is at is going to determine whether paid advertising is worth it for you this year. So for example, I'm going to use something that's kind of close to home. The whole coaches helping coaches help coaches grow coaching businesses space, right? That market is the most saturated out of them all in kind of like the online business space, right? Everyone's a coach's coach. So, and you will notice that the people or the biggest names in that space, so for example, the Sam Ovens of the world, and even people like Dan Henry, those people who, you know, around 2016, 2017, they were like, had the biggest coaching programs or some of the biggest coaching programs. I know there's other names like Russ Ruffino, et cetera, et cetera. And I think he's still running ads right now. But a lot of those big players in the space of coaches, they don't run ads anymore. And these people had the best skill in copywriting, the best skill in media buying. They had the business infrastructure, right? They had multiple products. They had back-end masterminds. They had a sales team, a high-performing sales team. They had all the case studies. They had the whole business, right? They were the biggest names in the space, and they all decided to turn off their ads because they couldn't make it anymore. Now, there's a different part to this where obviously they were so big that everyone in the space had heard of them before. So a lot of people have actually decided whether or not to buy from them, right? Because they were so big, everyone knew about it, and therefore people had already either bought from them once already, or they decided that they weren't going to buy from them. So there was actually, maybe they outgrew the market, potentially, although that could be a limited mindset. But let's just say that is one thing, but also just that the ads were unprofitable because the market was completely saturated. And again, Ovens, Henry, Traffic and Funnels, they've all kind of like shut down their companies right now, or the companies that they grew from earlier on, because it wasn't worth advertising. So if you run a coaching business, and you're thinking, okay, well, I'm struggling to get clients organically, maybe I'll run ads. Don't. You're going to waste your time. You're going to waste your money. It's going to be a shit show. Honestly, don't even waste it, right? Even in other markets, like, for example, like the agency space. So, and this is actually a good point. So one of the biggest names in the agency space is Iman Gadzhi, right? He has one of the biggest, or if not the biggest, SMMA programs in the world, maybe other than Tai Lopez. Now, here's what he did. He built his company in the beginning from paid advertising, right? That was how he sold most of his agency education. And he was scaling pretty big. But then eventually, a few years ago, probably around, I want to say 2021, 2022, he stopped running ads. Why? Because they were unprofitable for him. And he stopped running it. And he was kind of then just making sales off of his personal brand. And he stopped ads completely for the education business. Now, more recently, he has started running ads again for his different events that he runs on YouTube. Now, I think a lot of it will probably be retargeting, because obviously he's blown up on YouTube. What's he got, like 4 mil subs or something? I don't know. He's obviously now gone into a whole different level in terms of like who he is, his brand, and his following. So he might just be running retargeting ads, which in that case, retargeting is fine, and it'll probably be profitable for him. But even if he was running ads to a cold audience, that's also fine for him right now, because he has changed market. So again, I'm talking about depending on your market and its sophistication level and how exposed, I should probably explain what sophistication is. Sophistication is basically how exposed that market is to different competitors and different offers. So if a market is highly sophisticated, it means that that customer or potential customer has been exposed to a lot of the same messaging, a lot of the same offers, a lot of the same competitors, which is why the coaches space is very sophisticated, because there are a billion different coaches in there. Same with the agency space, right? A lot of people trying to sell agency education programs. But Iman has changed market over the last year or so. You'll see that his YouTube content a few years ago was very much like, hey, how I sign SMMA clients, how I build my agency, right? Agency was everywhere. His content over the last year or two doesn't mention his agency at all. Maybe in some of the videos where he pitches, but all of his content is more about how to become a high value man, how to become successful, how to become a millionaire. So he's actually moved away from like targeting people who are already aware of what an agency is. And he was always a little bit biz-oppy, but now he's gone super like mass market. I'm going to teach you how to make money online. It so happens that one of the ways he teaches is an agency, but he's gone super mass market. So he's changed market sophistication level to a wider market, which are less exposed to the, hey, come and build an agency messaging. Which means, and I'm rambling here, but hopefully you guys get it, which means that advertising probably will be more profitable for him now because he has a bigger market to go after and it's less sophisticated, right? So he's basically gone down a sophistication level, whichever one it is, right? So you can see there from depending on your audience, the market, what type of person you want to go after and what you're offering, then that is going to determine whether paid advertising is profitable or not for you. It wasn't for Iman before when he stayed in just the agency space. Now it's probably a bit more profitable for him now that he's going mass market, okay? So if you are going in the paid advertising space, and a lot of my stuff is contextual to the info product space because that's what I do. If you are thinking about going into that, then if you're in a hot market, a less competitive market, then yes, I would recommend ads. If you're in one of those really big, highly saturated markets, especially if you're just starting out, probably not the best idea. You're probably going to lose money. I think in the e-commerce space, this may be less important. But what's more important in the e-commerce space is the first 2 points that I mentioned, business infrastructure and skill. So those 3 things really work together. Some markets, some of those points are more important than others. But the context of each of who you are, who you're targeting, what business you're in, matters massively whether paid advertising is worth it for you. And you need to figure out, looking at those 3 things, do you have the right skills for your market and your audience and your business? Do you have the business infrastructure? And how saturated/sophisticated is your market? Your answer to those 3 things are going to determine whether paid advertising is worth it for you. So that's it. Hope it was helpful. If not, then I'm sorry. I've let you down. I'll try better next time.